Hi everyone, JJ here. Well, it's Alibaba earnings time again, and I'm going to do it live this time. I usually do like a short 10 to 15 minute video, and I will do that as a summary, but this time I'm going to do it live. We're going to go through the earnings call as well if you want to stick around for that, or if you're watching back. Most people will be watching this back later on. And so I'm going to, for the first time, I'm going to get into the earnings call, which is in about just over half an hour, but we'll get into the earnings. The earnings are out, and as you can see on screen here, we have the stock is 3% up so far after earnings, and so the market was well aware of the earnings already, and we'll just have a quick look at what's going on here. Straight into it, I'll have a look. We've got this article here. I'll just see if they've updated their website yet. We're going to go to the webcast, but we've got Alibaba misses revenue. I'll share that with you. Now here we have Alibaba misses revenue estimates, boosts buyback by $25 billion. So we're going to read that article. I'm just going to check here that we are working on the YouTube, on the tubes. It says we're live there. I'm just going to make sure, because I've been caught out by this before, that the sound's not working. You can reply to me here if you're joining the stream. I'll see your comments here, and I can hear myself, so that's a good sign. All right, it's working great. So let's have a look at this article. Let us have a look at this article. Feel free if you're watching this stream to comment to me. I'll see your comments. That'd be great as we go along. I can already see a couple of people there. So Alibaba misses revenue estimates, boosts buyback by 25 billion, which is good news. Let's see what they have to say. Initially, so the earnings are just straight out now, and where's the 2.45% up now, under 2%, so the market digesting what's these earnings. So it says China's Alibaba Group holding on Wednesday missed analysts' estimates for the third quarter revenue. Mind you, analyst estimates, that just take that with a grain of salt. We've got to dive into the fundamentals ourselves to work out what's going on. So it was hurt by softness in the retail market and sagging economic recovery in this world's second largest economy. I'm sure that is meant to say. And so we all know you might know what's going on in China. It's been terrible economic news there. But in the last few days, the stock's been rallying. If we just take a moment I'll share the screen with you, just to see what's been happening. It's 9.38% up, Alibaba, surprisingly, over the last 5 days, and 1 month it's 7.34%. So it's actually having a pretty good start to the year. 6 months, of course, it's still down 18.98%. Year to date, so 4.64, even right, today or the last session, 4.64% up year to date, and we're only 1.69 up pre-market at the moment. And so 1 year, of course, the story 25.85 down, and over 5 years only it's 53% down over 5 years. So terrible performance. So it's got a long way to catch up. Can it do it? So let's go back to this article and continue here. All right, so they say the company's US listed shares, which announce an increase of $25 billion to its share repurchase program through the end of March 2027, were up 3.5% in pre-market trading. Well, that's dropped away. We've just seen that. It's up 2% as I speak, so it's jumping around a bit. Alibaba announced the split of its business into 6 units last March. You might have seen my videos that some of the cloud business has been put off. Overseen by CEO Eddie Wu and Chairman Joe Tsai, both Alibaba co-founders. So Jack Ma's been commenting as well. I've made a video about that. He's sort of in the background there. He's been buying back shares. Joe Tsai and Jack Ma both been buying back shares heavily just recently, which has, I think, probably helped the share price a bit. So Wu, Group CEO since September, has been consolidating his control over Alibaba's core businesses, and has told staff the company's strategic focus would be user first and AI driven as it combats slower earnings growth. However, the e-commerce giant is under pressure from a slow recovery in China's online shopping market after the country lifted its pandemic curbs a little more than 12 months ago. Consumers in the world's second largest economy have been cutting costs in response to stuttering post-COVID recovery, boosting low-cost domestic e-commerce players such as PDD. Yeah, PDD is doing well. So, which owned by Pinduoduo, of course. Okay, they don't really have much information there. Let's have a look. See what else we can find out right now. I'm going to just check on their website and see if they've got an update yet. We're going to go to the webcast. They don't seem to have posted anything on their website yet. Want to see that presentation before the earnings call. Okay, let's see. This is revenue. Alibaba stock shoots higher after earnings, buyback news, but the Alibaba stock buy now. Okay. Let's just see. Bear with me. Where will I find something to read here? Good. Okay. Let's just, I'm having trouble finding the right information here. Just bear with me. I'm going to go to X, Twitter. Let's have this. It's quite entertaining to see what's happening over on Twitter on X. So let's do that anyway. So this is the Baba ticker. 67x of FCF and around 11 EPS. It was already well positioned to climb back to $110 level with recently announced buyback program. It is even cheaper now. Baba, insane amount of buyback if they use it all. It has an insanely huge growth potential. People pretty bullish on here. Okay. Let's see here what Seeking Alpha has to say. Alibaba non-GAAP EPADS of $2.67 beats by 0.03 cents. Revenue of 36.67 billion beats by 270 million. Here we go. So Alibaba press release. We want to see that press release. Revenue of 36.67 billion. Alibaba Group delivered a healthy quarter with revenue growth of 5% year on year, 5% year on year, which is not huge. It's, low single digits. We increased our investment in strategic priorities and improved shareholder return by leveraging our strong balance sheet and cash flow. Our board of directors approved an increase of $25 billion to our share repurchase program. So, a lot of people think the shares are cheap. They're buying back and they're starting to buy back heavily. 25 billion, demonstrating our confidence in the outlook of our business and cash flow. So if you're new to investing, it's probably worth saying that, when and Warren Buffett says this all the time, like you see companies buying back shares at expensive prices, having buyback programs when their shares are expensive. And so, but it's really only worth it for them as a capital allocation to buy back when shares are cheap. And if you look at the share price graph of Alibaba, it's way down to funky town. And so demonstrating our confidence, our consistent share repurchase has also reduced outstanding share count while achieving EPS and cash flow per share accretion, said Toby Zhu, Chief Financial Officer of Alibaba Group. Okay, let's have a look at this press release in more depth here. The actual press release. Just make sure you can see that. and everything's working okay. Here we are. Alibaba Group announces December quarter 2023 results. So just keep an eye on the time. We've got the earnings call coming up at half past the hour. It's 5 past at the moment. So we're going to be joining that, see what they have to say for themselves this time around. And I'll just check the website, see if they've updated it. And they have. So the press release and the presentation. So we're going to have a look at that presentation before the earnings call. It's worth doing that. They go through it, but we will have a look. We'll have a sneak peek before that. Always good to see the numbers. Of course, that's what we're here for. But we'll just have a look at this, quick look at this actual press release. So we delivered what they say. What is the company now? Not just media. We delivered a solid quarter as we are executing our focused strategies across the organization. Our top priority is to reignite the growth of our core businesses, e-commerce and cloud computing. And let me I've got comments here, so I'll see that. By looking at the results from last quarter, their value per share was around 63.16, says Jonathan Smythe. Okay, interesting comment. Let's just read on here. Thanks, Jonathan, for your comment. Okay. We delivered a solid quarter. Our top priority is to reignite the growth of our core businesses, e-commerce and cloud computing. So cloud computing was really been really disappointing compared to the US counterparts, which are, double digits, getting into the 20s here, and it's been growing really slowly. So that's been a real disappointment for shareholders. We will step up our investment to improve users' core experience to drive growth in Taobao and Tmall and strengthen market leadership in the coming year. We will also focus our resources on developing public cloud products, sustaining the strong growth momentum in international commerce business. Their international sector was growing pretty strongly, really strongly. It's one of the good areas, and that's so Eddie Wu said that, Chief Executive Officer. Alibaba Group delivered a healthy quarter with revenue growth of 5% year on year. So the market, let's see how I'm going to flip back to the market. So, it's down 1.57%, so not liking it so far. We increased our investment in strategic priorities and improved shareholder return by leveraging our strong balance sheet and cash flow. Our board of directors approved an increase of 25 billion. So that's what's made headlines. The main headline is their buyback 25 billion to our share repurchase program. While the shares are cheap by all accounts, demonstrating our confidence in the outlook of our business and cash flow. Our consistent share repurchase has also reduced outstanding share count while achieving EPS and cash flow per share accretion, said Toby Zhu. I hope that's how you pronounce it. Chief Financial Officer of Alibaba Group. All right, so business highlights. Here we are. We will have a look at the investor deck at some point before. I won't be wanting to get into that before the earnings call, but they will go through it. So revenue was. So I'm going to do this in US dollars. So because I'm sure everybody watching this probably understands that better, and thinking in US dollars. So there's 36,669 million US dollars, an increase of 5% year on year. I think the market's being a bit disappointed by that 5%, but the Chinese economy, maybe that's good in this circumstances of what's going on in China. Income from operations was 3,171 million, a decrease of 36% year on year. Okay, income from operations, a decrease of 36% year on year. The year on year decrease was primarily attributable to impairment of intangible assets of Sun Art and impairment of goodwill of Youku. So Youku's like a Chinese YouTube, as I understand it. Adjusted EBITDA, a non-GAAP measurement, excluding, blah, blah, blah. Let's see the real numbers here. Impairment of tangible assets and goodwill increased 2% year on year. Net income attributable to ordinary shareholders was 2.03 billion. Net income was 1.5 billion. Okay, I'm just going to skip through some of this so we can get on with it. And we'll want to go to this presentation. Okay, so they're the updates on it. I think Cloud Intelligence Group, that we want to see that a growth of 3% year on year for cloud. So, okay, Taobao and Tmall, which is this is the real profit driver here. Let's see. What do they say about that? Just let me flick through it. Okay, growth of 2% year on year. All right, during the quarter, our GMV achieved healthy growth year on year, and the number with the number of transacting buyers, blah blah blah. So we want to see the percentage here. Global Shopping Festival 11 on 11/11 grew double digits year on year. Cloud Intelligence Group 3% year on year, growth of 3% year on year. We continue to improve revenue quality by reducing the revenue from low margin projects based contracts. Recent highlights. Okay, Alibaba Cloud unveiled its newest general purpose ECS, blah blah blah. Now, Alibaba International Digital Commerce. Let's see this. Alibaba Digital Commerce revenue from AIDC grew 44% year on year, and the combined orders grew 24% year on year. So the international group's growing pretty well. And they say their competition is PDD and Temu there, which has got good numbers, but frankly I'm not sure if I believe the PDD numbers. I have a problem with believing their margins, considering what they're trying to do, shipping things overseas. Sure, it's in group, but really I don't know. We'll find out in time. Okay, the strong performance in international was driven by solid growth across the AIDC's retail platforms, especially from cross-border AliExpress choice business. I bought something from AliExpress. Our household bought something. I'm in New Zealand. It came pretty quickly. Well, not was for my son. Bought this giant mouse pad and it came through there, and he was happy with it. It came pretty quickly. No complaints. Our cross-border businesses exhibited a rapid year-on-year growth in response to increasing global demand for high-quality products at attractive prices. Okay. So welcome to everybody here. I see there's some people watching. That's good. And some comments. Jonathan smiles. There's lots of comments there. This is a cheap stock for a great company. I agree with that. Also loving the stream, dude. Thanks for that. I want to do this. I mean, I want to catch the earnings as we can see them as soon as they come out. And this will be recorded for later. I usually record it a few days later. So this is hot off the press. So let's continue. So during the quarter, AliExpress delivered over 60% year on year order growth. Well, that's impressive. 60%. I mean, is that because of COVID before that? Is that because of the pandemic? We'd have to dive into the numbers to see that, because it was, it was shut down for a while and everything was shut down, as you remember. But it was a while ago now. But China was the last to open up. I'm sure you remember that. Driven by choice, which provides an enhanced experience to consumers, combining better product. Okay, they're pitching us here. Choice represented about half of AliExpress's total orders in January 2024 and continues to deliver rapid order growth. So that's impressive growth in their international AliExpress, 60% year on year. So that's the bright spot. I'm going to check the share price. Let's just flick back to that for a quick sec. And we're just 0.22%. So it's going to be interesting to see if the earnings call affects the price at all, if we get any bump, if there's any bump in that. From there, let's continue with this. During the quarter, keep an eye on the time. We've got about 15 minutes left before the earnings call. During the quarter, Trendyol continued its robust digital order growth while maintaining its leading e-commerce position in Turkey. Trendyol has further extended its operations to the Middle East. Well, that could be a problem at the moment, with a wide range of merchandise as well as speedy and reliable logistics. They don't mention that. Lazada continues its focus on optimizing its operating efficiency with further increased monetization. Okay. Signal Smart Logistics, they're the one going to spin that off. That was the planned spin-off. So what do they say about that? For the quarter ended 31st of December 2023, revenue from, still don't really know how to say this. I think it's Signal, Kai now, is it? Grew 24%. So that's another, that's another good growth into the 20s there. It's not this low double digits, into the 20s. So that it's a really bright spot, and that they want. This is one of the really one of the first spin-offs that they want to do. Is it a good idea to spin it off? I mean, is it? Should they spin that off at all? I don't know. That's debatable. What do you think about that? Now continues to execute its strategy of building a global smart logistics network, reinforcing comprehensive end-to-end capabilities in the first mile pickup, line haul, customer clearance, sortation, is that a word? I've never heard that word before, and last mile delivery, to export cross-border business development with the upgrade to end-to-end capabilities. Senior further expanded its premium 5-day delivery service coverage. Well, I can tell you that it wasn't 5 days to get here, but it wasn't too bad. It came, the product that I ordered recently. They actually projected it was a long time, and so they exceeded expectations by getting it here quicker. But it wasn't 5 days, I can tell you that. Adding to more countries during the quarter, the order volume for the premium 5-day service achieved robust triple-digit quarter. Well, I didn't get the premium service. It wasn't urgent. So local services group. So this is an order of a size, really. These are sort of smaller. And we can see 13% year-on-year growth. Local services, 13% year-on-year growth. 2 billion there. Digital media and entertainment, and we'll skip to 18% year-on-year growth, driven by strong revenue growth of offline entertainment. So that's under $1 billion we're getting to now. Progress in decarbonization, upsize of share purchase program. Here we go. This is going to be the main headline. It already is. This is getting to be big there. As Monish Pabrai would say, they're becoming a Uber cannibal, eating their own shares. And my question was, does the government condone this, the big share buybacks? And I think because of the economy, they've seemed to have stepped it up. So the government probably is condoning it, because the market and the stocks dropped so much and the economy's in trouble that they probably are more supportive of it. It's just my guess. I don't know. I'm just guessing there, but it's possible that the buybacks are on because they do want to actually, these crown jewels of the Chinese economy, they don't want to kind of destroy them. Remember the crackdowns on these companies? It's hard to see that happening now, really, given the economic situation. So as previously announced, during the quarter ended, blah blah, we repurchased a total of 292.7 million ordinary shares for a total of $2.9 billion. Okay, that's not huge. I could do more. And a total of 897.9 million ordinary shares for a total of 9.5 billion. Okay, for the calendar year, 2023 calendar year, total of 9.5 billion. And we had 20 billion ordinary shares outstanding. Our share repurchase program resulted in a net reduction of 3.3% in our outstanding shares. All right. Our board of directors approved an increase of 25 billion to our share repurchase program through to the end of March 2027. Well, that's a long way out. I mean, strike. I mean, well, the share. I mean, look at the share price. Let's look at this for a second. Let's go maximum. Look at that. So, I mean, why would you not buy back shares at this point? They've got a lot of cash, and we'll see that they've had a lot of cash. Look at that. It's just over the maximum. It's down 16%. Over 5 years, it's down 53%. Why would you not buy back a lot of shares? I think that would having a massive share buyback program should boost the share price. You'd think. So it's the stock's marginally up, just 0.22% at this point. Okay, it's 20 after the hour, so we're coming up to. Let's have a look at the deck. Let's have a look at the deck. So I'm going to share this with you. Going to get into this deck before the earnings call. Financial highlights. We've seen this in so the 9 months, 3 months, year on year. Okay, so Taobao 2%. So look at this year. Look at the growth year on year for the quarter. I mean, I wish they had 12 months. So they got 9 months. So we can see the growth here. So Taobao 2%, Cloud Intelligence Group 3%. I mean, it's disappointing, the growth there. 44% for International Digital Group. That's a real bright spot. 44% growth. That's more like it. Inside now is Logistics 24%, as we've seen. Local Services Group, these are smaller now, 13 and 18%. So those big ones, Taobao and Tmall, the e-commerce, China e-commerce mainly, it's 2% growth. So not so much, and 6% for the 9 months. So 2 and 3% for cloud and Taobao and Tmall. It's hard to say how that's going to make the market happy. I think if those were growing as strong as these other ones, it would be very the stock would likely go up, apart from the economic conditions. So that's pretty low growth, low single digits. So total segment revenue 6%, 6% year on year, and 9% for the 9 months. Consolidated revenue 5%. Inter-segment elimination. All right. Income from operations, minus 36%. Okay. Net income minus 77. All right. So let's move on. And we've got income statement here. Let's have a look. Income from operations. There we are. For the 3 months. All right. Not great numbers to see here, but do they have any one-off things that affect this? We'll have to get into that. Cash flow and balance sheet. All right. Let's see. Net cash provided by operations. 3 months in, so 9 billion US dollars, 9.1. Free cash flow 7.9, and net cash outflowing related to capital expenditure 1.2 billion. Share repurchases 2.9 billion for the 3 months ending December. Okay, so cash and cash equivalents, here we are. See how much cash have they got now. So as of March 2023, as of December, 35.8 billion. So they've put on a $25 billion possible share repurchase, but that's until 2027. They can so easily do this. I mean, they're investing for growth, but really, when these shares are in the toilet, why not buy back big? What would Warren Buffett do if Berkshire Hathaway was trading so low, and it has been low at times? Warren Buffett said that. I think there's been 3 times in the history of Berkshire Hathaway even that's gone down more than 50%, and that's time to buy back shares. So I mean, they have launched a big program, but from my point of view, maybe they could buy back even more. Get stuck into it, mate, as we say in this part of the world. So cash balance 91 91. Cash balance 91. So short-term investments 42 and treasury investments 13. So 91 billion US dollars. I mean, what's the market cap? Market cap of 198, 199, and around 199, and they've got cash balance of 91. So a big chunk of their market cap is in cash, the cash balance. So they could do big buybacks. They could. I just wonder if the government doesn't like it because it's sort of enriching shareholders, and but nobody's ever said that. So net cash position 68. So that's less current and non-current bank borrowings and non-current unsecured senior notes, of course. So net cash position 68. 68.59 billion. Okay, we're 4 minutes away from the call. I'm just going to leave you on the screen here. Cost of revenue, operating expenses. I imagine that they've got that under control, but I'll just check this webcast. Wait. And we can go to see what's going on. Okay, I've got it up here, so let's just check it's working. I'm going to share this tab with you. Okay, that appears to be working. Just waiting on the earnings call now. We'll go back to that deck, that investor deck in a minute. So let me know if there's any problem with the sound, but I think we're ready to carry on with that because that's where what we really want to see. There'll be a few minutes when they start the call anyway of just the preliminaries, the usual blah blah. So cost of revenues and operating expenses 3 months. So 61% and 60%, 9 months ended and 3 months ended, 60% percentage of revenue. So it's sort of stable there. And product development expenses, stable 4 and 5%. General administration expenses, so this is all stable. They wouldn't expect it to change. They're pretty good with their, costs and efficiency. Segment results, here we go, segment by segment. We've kind of seen it now. We know what's disappointing and what's not. The two big sectors, the cloud sector and, the China e-commerce, Taobao and Tmall, fairly disappointing growth, to be honest, really. Quarter by quarter, we've got Taobao. Here we go. We can see that in cloud, 3%, digital commerce growth. I'll be interested to see what they say about this. For 44% for digital, for Alibaba, international digital commerce, 44%. I mean, they're going to play that up. So 24% for logistics, 13%. So that's for the quarter and the 9 months. It's still not super great. I mean, let's see if this started. Started yet? 1 minute away from starting. So yeah, that's the breakdown really. We've seen it. We wanted those figures. We've got Taobao and Tmall, not great growth, and cloud intelligence, not great growth. International segment growing really strongly, logistics growing strongly, local services group, but there's kind of more insignificant in terms of revenue. 19%, 20% growth in digital entertainment media means insignificant in terms of the revenues there compared to, you look at the revenue for Taobao and Tmall, it's way higher than, that's the highest. So that's important. It's important. It's the most important segment, remains so. And they've got business highlights there, which I'm sure they'll go through in the call. So there we go. We've seen that, and we're ready for the call. Let's see. I just want to see what they're going to say. Has it started yet? Not yet. Come on. It's the half hour, so they should be starting soon. Just leave that on so I can hear. So let me know if the Hi, where did you get this pack from, please? Do you mean that when you say the pack, do you mean the investor pack? So it's the investor relations section of the Alibaba website. You could just Google that, you'll come up with it, and they have a section there that is, it has this stuff here. I'll show you. So I assume you mean this. So this is the screen here where they have the quarterly results and the financial reports. It's under earnings and financials. So you can grab the deck there, have a look through that deck yourself. Definitely have a look at that. And, you know, you can go through it within the presentation that we're going through now if you want to, because they usually they probably go through it bit by bit. That's where I got it from. Okay, no worries. So yeah, I mean, oh, here we go. They've started. So let's just
2023 results conference call. At this time, all participants are on listen-only mode.
She sounds
After
Australian.
management's prepared remarks, there will be a Q&A session.
Can you hear
I would
that
now
all right?
like to turn the
Let me
call
know.
over to Rob Lin, Head of Investor Relations of Alibaba Group. Please go ahead.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to Alibaba Group's December quarter
Great sound on
2023
these
results
things.
conference call. With us are Joe Tsai, Chairman, Eddie Wu, Chief Executive Officer, Toby
Can you
Xu,
hear that
Chief
okay?
Financial Officer. We have also invited Jiang Fan, CEO of Alibaba International Digital Commerce Group, AIDC, to join the call.
Yep,
This
can hear.
call
Great,
is
thanks.
also being webcasted on the IR section of our corporate website. A replay of the call will be available on our website later today. Now, let me cover the safe harbor. Today's discussion may contain forward-looking
Okay, it's a
statements,
preliminary. See, they're going to have they've got the presentation. They'll go along with it.
about our
But you
new
can,
organization and
it's good to have it
governance structure,
yourself to have a look at later.
strategies and business plans, as well as our beliefs and expectations about our business prospects, such as the future growth of our business, revenue, and return on investment. Forward-looking statements involve inherent risks and uncertainties that may cause actual results to differ materially from our current expectations. For detailed discussions of these risks and uncertainties, please refer to our latest
welcome to
annual
everybody
report
that's
on
watching.
Form
There's a few
20-F
people
and
watching. That's
other
good. It's
documents filed
good
with
to
the
hear
US
the earnings
SEC.
call. This is the stuff to
announced on the
hear what
website
they
of the
say,
Hong
how
Kong
they
Stock
say it, the
Exchange. Any
cadence.
forward-looking statements that we make on this call are based on assumptions as of today,
Thanks.
and we do not undertake any obligation to update these statements except as required under applicable law. Please note that certain financial measures
I'll only
that
talk
we
over
use
bits
on
that
this
aren't
call,
really
such as
that important.
adjusted EBITDA margin,
It's just
adjusted EBITDA,
preliminary
adjusted
rubbish they have
EBITDA
to say.
margin, non-GAAP net income, non-GAAP diluted earnings per share or ADS, and free cash flow are expressed on a non-GAAP basis. Our GAAP results and reconciliation of GAAP to non-GAAP measure can be found in earnings press release.
It's Merrick.
Unless otherwise stated, growth rate of all stated metrics mentioned during this call refers to year-over-year growth versus the same quarter last year. With that, I will now turn
Here we
to
go.
Eddie.
Eddie? Are you there? Eddie Wu.
Hello, everyone. Over this past quarter, we delivered steady growth while making organizational adjustments that align with our strategic focus. At the same time, we took a deep look at our core business operations and the competitive landscape. We concluded that to maintain our competitive edge, we must increase our investment in core capabilities and adopt a more aggressive approach towards competition in order to win growth. Our top priority is to reignite the growth of our two core businesses, e-commerce and cloud computing.
Yeah.
During the quarter, the execution of our user-first and competitive pricing strategies in Taobao and Tmall Group, TTG, was effective, resulting in healthy year-over-year GMV growth as the number of active buyers and order volume showed a robust increase. The number of merchants continued to grow at a double-digit rate, and I'll elaborate on the outlook and plans for 2024 in a moment. In cloud computing, we're committed to our strategy of prioritizing public cloud. We have proactively optimized our business structure, reduced revenue from project-based contracts, and increased investment in public cloud products. These structural adjustments are showing results, and Alibaba Cloud's overall
price is down just over 1% at the moment.
Continues to improve.
See if it improves during the call.
We've also upgraded Alibaba Cloud's sales operations, establishing different sales and service systems to serve different types and sizes of customers. By improving our customer coverage and service capabilities, we will enhance our growth rate. In the international commerce business, we focused on expanding cross-border offerings
Good growth
and
rate in
enhancing
that.
the shopping experience. This quarter, all of AIDC's retail platforms achieved growth, resulting in international digital commerce overall revenues growing at a rapid rate of 44%
That's
year
good.
over year.
They're 44.
Cainiao continued to develop its global smart logistics network with cross-border logistics fulfillment solutions contributing to 24% year-over-year revenue growth, as well as realizing strong synergies with the cross-border e-commerce business. Next, I'd like to share the strategic priorities for TTG in investing and capturing growth opportunities. TTG operates in the world's most competitive e-commerce market, which is China. As we carefully evaluate TTG's competitive position within the China e-commerce market, we note that TTG continues to be number one in GMV share and is the leading platform for consumer shopping. Merchants operate on the platform as their primary place of e-commerce business, and TTG has the deepest and most comprehensive selection of products amongst its peers. However, we must still make targeted investments and improvements in price competitiveness, service, and user experience. Given that consumers use multiple platforms, returning to a user-centric approach is at the heart of our strategy.
PDD is a competitor.
User
Temu
experiences to enhance the customer shopping experience.
for
I'm
international.
confident that by focusing on delivering the incredible Taobao or universal Taobao experience, offering quality products at attractive prices with great service,
PDD
meeting the
within
different
China and
needs of different
JD.
consumer segments, TTG will earn
It's
user
intense
trust and return
competition.
to growth. Thus, 2024 will be a year of comprehensive capability upgrades for TTG and also a year of significant investment, and we'll be prioritizing investment in the following areas. One, product supply. We'll increase our investments in growing the selection of branded products and direct-from-manufacturer products on TTG's platforms. This will further strengthen our product supply advantages to better address new consumption trends and demands. Two, competitive pricing and efficiency. We'll increase investment into product sourcing capabilities and optimizing business model relationships between merchants and our platform. For different types of suppliers, we'll offer flexible business models that are best suited to improve their operational efficiency and thereby enhance Taobao's value proposition. The competitive pricing we're focused on delivering is attractive prices for quality products. This is a demand that consumers have across cycles and is fundamental to doing business. Three, quality service. We will work with our merchants and logistics partners to invest in improving the entire consumer service experience, including pre-sale, in-sale, post-sale, and logistics. For different customer segments on the platform, we will build a
Nothing new,
consumer
just
service system
efficiencies
that
and
accurately
getting better
identifies and meets the various needs of the
so
different groups.
far.
Four, increase purchase frequency. Through the above investments, we will enhance our comprehensive capabilities to offer quality products at attractive prices with great service. We believe that improving the platform's overall shopping experience and service quality will lead to increased purchase frequency and materially improve the efficiency of user growth. Today, Taobao and Tmall remain the most valuable shopping platforms and the main place for merchants to do business.
Yep, they're big.
With the comprehensive capability building plan for 2024, we're confident that TTG will return to growth. Next, I'll hand over to Jiang Fan
It's
to
really
present on AIDC.
low growth,
Good
low
evening,
single
everybody.
digits.
Over the past quarter, despite the uncertain international environment and more intense market competition, AIDC achieved rapid growth. Total orders grew by 24% year-on-year, driven by strong growth across all major retail platforms. Growth in our cross-border business was especially significant. Our three major growth drivers are, first, enhanced consumer experience as a result of our business model and supply chain services upgrade. Second, product and technology innovation. And third, our targeted expansion in priority markets. Next, I will present our business results and future development plans around these three drivers.
Okay.
First is our business model and supply chain services upgrade. Last quarter, AliExpress achieved year-on-year order growth of
Good
over
and bad,
50%.
I think. Some low
This
growth
is
in
mainly
those big
driven by
areas
the
and
new
some
AE
high
Choice
growth in
model that we
some
launched
areas.
in early 2023.
Buybacks
The
are
AE
good.
Choice model
They'll talk about that.
is, in essence, an upgrade that we made to our original pure platform model into a hybrid business model.
What does the market
that
think?
combines POP on the one hand with a fully entrusted model on the other, and it's underpinned by supply chain efficiency. It
Down
optimizes supply on the
2.25%
platform by
right now.
balancing
The market,
experience
the
with
price.
richness of offerings.
As he's
By
talking,
offering
it's down
trusted
over
cross-border
2% right now.
logistics, marketing, and other services, we lower the barrier for merchants to engage in cross-border business, bringing more certainty to their operations
Had a run up
and more
before
diverse
earnings, so
assortment to the platform. At the same time, we continue to enhance the end-to-end consumer experience, including by providing more stable product quality and more competitive prices, by continuing to optimize delivery time, and by adding value-added services like local product return. As of January 2024, Choice already made up half of all AliExpress orders. Its high-quality user experience has driven significant user growth and transaction
pretty good
growth
experience, I
on the
have to say,
AliExpress platform. And
AliExpress.
going forward, we'll continue to invest resolutely to further increase Choice penetration and provide a better experience
They
to more
push
users.
repeat sales.
In terms of product and technology innovation, AIDC serves consumers in different countries and regions around the world. We've already optimized products in certain key countries and regions in line with local preferences. These efforts have been highly appreciated, and we'll continue to pursue that kind of innovation and upgrading. We're also actively deploying AI to enhance operating efficiency and lower
AI,
barriers
they
for
had to
merchants.
mention it.
Our suite of AI-based digital foreign trade products have been officially launched, enabling real-time language translation, AI logistics services, rapid generation of images and videos.
They're pretty legit, though. It's real. AI is
Third,
real. And
sustained growth in key markets.
Amazon's
in the
using
last
it.
quarter, we achieved good growth in different regional markets. And in certain key markets, AE achieved breakthrough rapid growth to become the leading platform locally. In Turkey and neighboring markets, Trendyol continued to achieve
Doing
robust
well,
double-digit order
Trendyol.
growth and maintained its leading position in the Turkish market. It also further expanded its business in valuable new markets in the Middle East. In Europe, Alibaba.com completed its acquisition of the well-known European B2B digital trade platform Visible, further expanding its supplier base
Spending
in
in
the
Europe,
region
for sure.
and further
That's
advancing
be part of the growth.
Alibaba.com's global expansion and dual brand strategy.
Strong growth.
There is huge potential for AIDC to increase user penetration in the majority of overseas markets. Building on our current resources and footprint, we will increase our investment in select regional markets where we see opportunities and value to achieve opportunities for high certainty and healthy growth. Going forward, we'll continue to maintain our rapid growth momentum and provide consumers with improved differentiated services. To that end, we'll continue to increase our investments in enhancing user experience and business competitiveness while expanding our business scale. Thank you.
Okay, they really played up the international parks. There's strong growth there.
Financial
Here
performance
we go.
in the past quarter, driven by steady business momentum and improving operating efficiency in several major businesses. Total consolidated
Bit hard to
revenue
hear.
was RMB 260.3 billion, an increase of 5%. Consolidated adjusted EBITDA increased by 2% to RMB 52.8 billion. Our non-GAAP net income was RMB 48 billion, a decrease of 4%. Our GAAP net income was RMB 10.7 billion, a decrease of 35 billion. That was primarily attributable to change in investment values and impairments. Firstly, there was a market-to-market change from our equity investments of about
that growth,
19 billion.
Second, there's top two,
Amortization
2 and
impairment
3%
of
growth
intangible
year on year.
assets was RMB 14.6
Not
billion,
great.
of which RMB 12.1 billion was related to Sunna impairment. Third, impairment of goodwill was RMB 8.5 billion related to Youku. The above three items were excluded from non-GAAP net income. As of December 31st, 2023, we continue to maintain a strong net cash position of RMB 487 billion,
Tons of cash.
68.6 billion. Free cash flow this quarter was RMB 56.5 billion, a decrease of 31%.
Free cash flow.
The decrease in free cash flow was attributed to increased capex and several one-time factors, including timing of income tax payments and working capital changes related to several of our businesses. Now let's look at the segment results, starting with Taobao and Tmall Group. Revenue for Taobao and Tmall Group was
You're going through it quickly.
129.1 billion, an increase of 2%. During this quarter, we made steady progress
2%.
to execute
It's
our
pretty
Taobao and
low.
Tmall strategies. We observed a few positive trends. As Eddie mentioned, our online GMV achieved healthy growth, with order volume growing strongly during the quarter.
I'll do a bit
Notably,
of summary at the end of
order
this.
volume exhibited double digits
What I
year-over-year
think, my
growth
thoughts.
during the second half of the quarter. Importantly, we continued our efforts to onboard a wide range of brands and merchants. The number of operating merchants on our platform continued to grow at double digits, and this trend has sustained over the past 4 quarters. Additionally, we are also seeing strong growth in paying merchants. Customer management revenue was RMB 92.1 billion, relatively flat year-over-year. The overall take rate decreased slightly year-over-year, mainly because of the increase in GMV.
This
came
is
from
China
Taobao
commerce,
merchants.
remember? Big
The mix
market.
shift of GMV towards Taobao merchants
The
provided
biggest sector,
with
biggest
further
market.
monetization potential because the take rate from Taobao merchants has been improving while Tmall merchants' take rate was unchanged during the quarter. Importantly, this trend also reflects increasing consumers' demand of price-competitive products offered on our platform. Direct sales and others
Yes, there
revenue
will.
increased 2%.
Yes,
to
there should be a Q&A, there always is.
31.6 billion.
It's the most interesting
Wholesale
part.
business revenue increased
If they ask good
23%
questions,
to
the analysts.
5.3 billion, primarily due to an increase in revenue from
It's Pat.
value-added
Hi, Pat.
services of
Pat's
168.com.
one of the
Taobao and Tmall Group adjusted EBITDA
Outer Valley
increased by
Patreon
1%
subscribers.
to 59.9 billion. The increase
He was
was
here yesterday for
primarily
the
due to
Spotify earnings.
narrowing losses in certain businesses, partly offset by the increase in investment in content, user acquisition, and retention
Another late
of
night,
Taobao
Pat.
app, as well as technological innovation. We are in the process of revitalizing Taobao and Tmall Group and positioning it for future growth. We are beginning to see early signs of GMV growth recovery, driven in part by investment made since earlier this fiscal year. We still have a lot of work ahead. As Eddie mentioned, we will invest for future growth and strengthen Taobao and Tmall Group's market leadership.
Stressing growth
Our
because it's so
Cloud
low.
Intelligence Group revenue quality continues
Cloud
to
as
improve
well, low
as
growth.
we proactively reduce revenue from low-margin project-based
3%.
contracts. Additionally, we recorded healthy growth of our public cloud revenue from external customers. Revenue from Cloud Intelligence Group was RMB 28.1 billion in this quarter, an increase of 3%.
3%.
Cloud's adjusted EBITDA
And compared to the
increased
US,
by
like in the
86% to
20s, the cloud
2.4 billion. The continuous
US
improvement
companies.
in our adjusted EBITDA reflected improving product mix through our focus on public cloud and operating efficiency. The enhanced profitability of cloud business gives us confidence to invest in technology and customers to strengthen our public cloud leadership in the future. Alibaba International Digital Commerce Group
I'll have Q&A
revenue
at
was
the end.
28.5 billion, an increase of 44%. Revenue from international commerce retail business increased by 56% to RMB 23.3 billion. The increase in revenue was primarily due to solid revenue growth from AliExpress, especially Choice business
We'll
and
see.
Trendyol. Revenue from our international commerce wholesale business
Did it even go lower, the
increased
share
by
price, if
8%
is that what
to
you mean?
RMB
The bottom of
5.3
the
billion.
market?
The increase was primarily due to an increase in revenue generated by cross-border related value-added services from Alibaba.com. AIDC's adjusted EBITDA was a loss of RMB 3.1 billion. Losses increased primarily because of the increase in investment in AliExpress's Choice, Trendyol's international business, partly offset by improvement in monetization across all major platforms. Overall, we have seen a very rapid
Hi to
order
everybody
and
joining.
revenue growth of our
Good group
AIDC cross-border
watching. That's great.
e-commerce
Thanks.
business
Thanks for
over the
joining.
last few
Thanks for
quarters.
hanging out here on this
To
call.
sustain this momentum and provide differentiated services to customers, we increased the investment during this quarter and will step up investments to drive further growth.
Good growth in
revenue from
international there.
China grew
44%.
to
That's
RMB
good.
28.5 billion, primarily contributed by the increase in revenue
The logistics,
from cross-border
also
fulfillment
24%
solutions.
growth.
China adjusted EBITDA was RMB 961 million, compared to a loss of RMB 12 million in the same quarter last year.
Adjusted
The
EBITDA.
increase reflected
Charlie would say
economies of
BS earnings.
scale that leads to cost optimization as well as optimized operating expenditure spending. In the coming quarters, as a strategic partner of AliExpress, we will increase investments in expanding our cross-border logistics capabilities to support AE Choice's growth.
They want
Local services
5-day
group
delivery. They want to
revenue
get to
December
3-day
quarter
delivery
grew 13%
worldwide,
to
apparently.
15.2 billion, driven by healthy growth of Ele.me and the rapid growth of AMAP. Local service group adjusted EBITDA was a loss of RMB 2.1 billion this quarter, compared to a loss of RMB 2.9 billion same quarter last year, primarily due to
Yeah,
the
it's taken a while to get
continued
out
narrowing of loss
since the pandemic,
from
for
our
sure.
to-home business,
Long
driven by
lockdown.
Ele.me's improved unit economics and increasing scale. Revenue from our DME group was RMB 5 billion, an increase of 18%, primarily driven by the strong revenue growth of offline entertainment businesses. Adjusted EBITDA
3.4, is that
was a
right?
loss of RMB 517 million,
Check that.
compared to a loss of RMB 391
Ooh,
million
4%
in the
down.
same quarter last year. Losses increased primarily due to the increased losses of Youku.
4% now.
Revenue from all other segments
Ouch.
decreased 7% to RMB 47 billion, mainly due to the decrease in revenue from Sunnot. Adjusted EBITDA from all other segments
Good
was
bounce.
a loss of RMB 3.2
Yeah, it
billion,
is.
compared to a loss of RMB
It is.
1.7 billion in the same quarter last year, primarily due to increase in year-over-year loss from Sunnot due
Just
to
under 4
scale
at the
down
moment.
of certain of businesses. Excluding Sunnot, Freshippo, and in-time businesses that have physical retail operations, group revenue would have grown at approximately 8%, and our
8%.
group consolidated adjusted EBITDA margin would have been 4%
All others.
points
See this
higher
all other
at
segment?
approximately
It's got a lot of stuff in
24%
it.
this
Smaller
quarter.
things. Freshippo is good.
Lastly, we remain committed to returning cash
Lastly.
to shareholders.
Repurchase.
We have been
Real
consistently
positive.
buying back shares. In the 12 months ended December 31st, 2023, we have repurchased the $9.5 billion
9 billion
shares,
repurchase
and
they have already.
reduced the share count by 3.3% after accounting for shares
Why wouldn't they?
issued under
Why
our
wouldn't they do repurchases?
Additionally, quarter to date,
A
until
lot of
February
cash, low
6th,
price.
we have repurchased
Get stuck
another
into it.
$1.4 billion worth of our shares. Our board of directors has approved the upsize of the share repurchase program by another $25 billion through March 2027.
25 billion.
Upsizing our share repurchase program demonstrates
They
our
should
strong
just do it
confidence
soon.
in our business fundamentals and cash flow generation capability. Following the upsize, we currently have $35.3 billion available in our share repurchase program.
35 billion.
The
Just do
upsized
it.
program will allow us to achieve a net reduction in share count and achieve EPS and cash flow per share accretion. Subject to market conditions, we target to achieve at least 3% in annual reduction in total shares outstanding for the next 3 fiscal years.
That's good.
Thank you. That's the end of
It's a
our
real positive
prepared
there.
remarks. We can open up
Okay,
for
questions.
Q&A.
Questions now.
Everyone, for today's call, you are welcome to ask questions in Chinese or English.
There's some good questions.
The translator will provide consecutive interpretation for the Q&A session. Please note that the translation is for convenience purpose only. In the case of any discrepancy, our management statement in the original language will prevail. If you are unable to hear the Chinese translation,
definitely a cheap
bilingual
market.
transcripts of this call will be available on our
Dude,
website.
Japan was
within
cheap
7
for
working
like
days
30
after the
years.
Chinese New Year holiday. 大家
It
好，
was a
今天的
double
电话
bubble
会议
though.
欢迎您用
Real
或者
estate
英文
and
提问，我们会有第
stock
三方
market.
公证人员提供实时的
So
交
here
替
they
翻译。
translate.
翻译的目的是方便大家理解，如有任何疑义，请以我们管理层原始语言所做的陈
Is
述
it a
为
value
准。
or value trap?
如您无法听到
That's the
中文翻
question.
译，本次电话会议的双语记录
So far been a
将
value
在
trap.
中
It's
国
gone on for
春节
years.
假期后7个工作日内，在我们的网站上提供。Operator, please connect the speaker and SI conference line now and start the Q&A session when ready. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Tend to be a
you.
bit longer because
If
of
you
the
wish to ask a
translations.
question, please press star 1 on your telephone and wait for your name to be announced. If you wish to cancel your request, please press star 2.
She's
If
Australian.
you're on a speakerphone, please pick up the handset to ask your question. To give more people the opportunity to ask questions, please keep yourself to no more than one question at a time. Your
Maybe a
first
Kiwi.
question comes from Ronald Keung with Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Joe, Eddie, Van, Toby, and Rob. And want to ask about the Taobao Tmall take rate this quarter that we just mentioned is like 4 and a blended take rate. And you mentioned about the different factors, the mix shift, but also Taobao take rate increase. So want to hear what is driving the take rate increase on the specific, particularly on Taobao. How is the adoption of our sales-based kind of cost per sales-based shift in our AdTech upgrades? And just on the blend of this, then when should we expect take rates to stabilize, i.e. the GMV and CMR was to stabilize in the same rate? And how should we think about the long-term take rate potential, given that we're still much lower than global peers, and I would say lower than quite a few of our China peers? So the potential there, immediate in the near term, when to stabilize, and long-term potential. Thank you.
我的问题是有关于这
So
次公布的
we have
就
this.
是天猫这个take rate 变现率的一个增幅。
Well, this
那
takes a bit longer.
么想要具体了解一下就是
Difficult
这
being a
个
translator, wouldn't it?
还有 GMV
To remember it all.
什么时候可以稳定下来，然后我们如何思考这个中长期的这个 take rate 变现率的增加的一个潜力，因为相比很多我们在中国的同业，这个 take rate 还是偏低的。
Okay, thank you, Reno. I will take this question. For this quarter, actually, if you look at it, the overall take rate dropped a little bit. As I was explaining in my script, actually, this drop was because of the mix shift. As we can see, consumers, appetite for relative price competitive products, grow. So that's why we can see the GM shift from towards
Share price 4% down,
Taobao
just over
merchant.
4%. Market not so impressed.
提问我是Toby，我来回答。那么我刚才在发言稿中讲的是本季度我们整体的 take rate 变现率实际上是略微下降的。这主要呢是由于这个结构的变化这个带来的。也就是说，当前的消费者他们对于这个有价格力的就是低价好物这样的货品是有很强的一个偏好。
This actually is we see the early success of the execution of our strategy because as we announced in the early of the year, the strategy for Taobao and Tmall is user centric. So we need to build up the supply for all our consumers, particularly for the price competitive products. So that's why this is a sort of demonstrates the early success of the execution of our strategy.
Okay.
结构的变化应该说是证明了我们年初宣布并开始实施的这个战略已经开始产生效。 年初时我们所宣布
Success would mean a bit more growth, wouldn't it?
中心的这样一个战略
To see in coming quarters.
意味着就是为各个
That Tmall and cloud in particular. I mean,
切的供应，尤其
why isn't that growing
是
so?
关注价格的消费者提供这个
Why isn't cloud growing more than a
价格
couple
力
of
的这样的
percent?
供应，所以应该说是证明了我们
3%.
这个战略初步是产生了成效。
So for the slightly drop of the take rate, overall take rate, we are not too concerned because, what we believe is, as I said, for Taobao merchants, the take rate is growing. Just like what you said, the overall take rate in our platform is still, relatively lower compared with the other platforms, which actually shows the big potential we have in terms of increasing, some of the take rates via, so enhancing the operating efficiency on our platform, as well as enable the merchants to increasing the operating efficiency, which will help us to increase our take rate.
Talking about efficiencies. Yes.
整体变现率略微下降，我
Can
们
only
恢
go
复
so far with efficiency.
就是本来淘宝这些商家的变现率是在上升中的，而且总体而言如您所说，我们现在整个 take rate 还是比别的一些平台要低一些，那么这个就是说明了未来还是有很大的一个 take rate 可以提升的一个空间那么我们也可以通过改善我们自己
So I appreciate you all being here, by the way, while we're waiting for
可以促使
translation.
商家提升他们的经营效率，通过这样的
Thanks
一
for
些方式
joining, hanging out on this call. It's good to share it with people. I'll be doing this anyway, because I am a shareholder,
谢谢托比，我来
bag holder
再补
at
充一
the
下
moment.，
就是关于我们的整体的经营里面，我们的关于用户的消费频次和 GMV 以及 take rate 的我们的执行关系，就现在的我们的执行的商业战略上来说，我们现在还处于在如何提高用户的消费频次，从而带动 GMV 的
It's actually my
增长的
worst
过程当
performing
中。那在我们的产品和我们的计
investments
划
at the
当中
moment by a long shot.
我们的 GMV 获得一个明显的一个
Would love
增
to
长
see
的
a
基础上，
turnaround in
我们会去
the
提
market.
升我们的广告产品。
How long
而
to
我们的
wait?
广告产品会针对
How long to
中
wait?
小商家做非常大的优化，在那个阶段我们会来提升，通过我们广告产品的优化来帮助中小商家更好的提升变现效率。
Prepared to be
所以总体
patient.
来说，我们对
3 years
take rate
is
的
minimum.
与 GMV 的这个增速的这个匹配，我们并不担心，因为
I'm
我们
not a
有一
trader.
个比较明确的一个先后顺序的一个产品计划。
Thank you. This is Eddie. I'd like to add to the answer that Toby just gave. Talking
Too
at
long.
an overall
Should
strategic
have
level
waited.
about how we view the relationship between
Got
purchase
interested.
frequency
Or Charlie
and
Munger.
growth
Oh,
and
let's listen.
take rate and what our strategy is. The strategy that we're executing now is focused on increasing purchase frequency. And by increasing purchase frequency, we will achieve GMV growth. On the basis of that GMV growth, and once that has been achieved, then we will be developing more advertising products that are highly optimized for SME merchants. And at that point, we'll be able to leverage those new advertising products to achieve higher monetization. There's a clear strategy and a plan time-wise in terms of how we're going to approach.
So, and to answer this question, unfortunately, I started buying at over 200 and averaging down, and
Thank
it's
you.
quite a big investment.
Your next
and I'm
question
willing
comes
to
from
hold it.
Alicia
I'm willing
Yap
to
with
hold
Citigroup. Please go ahead.
for extended time because I think
Hi, thank you.
That's
管理层，晚上好，谢谢接受我的提问。我其实也有就是跟进这个淘天集团的一个问题，就是我的理解请管理层看一下我的理解对不对？就是说我们感觉已经想重新强调这个轻资产平台的这个模式，这样后续的话，其实对于淘天集团这个 EBITDA 来讲，其实会有更高的一个利润率，这个理解是否对的？然后另外一个就是说，在这个比较激烈的竞争环境上，特别是这个平台模式就是我们能够给商家带到的这个价值 和其他渠道跟平台给商家带到的那个价值有什么最大的一个区别？然后在用户上，因为像其他这个短视频平台，其实拥有很多自然的那个内容的流量，就是说现在他们也蛮成功，就是把这个流量转化到他们的货架电商这边。像我们有什么计划，就是说在获取新用户或者是引流这个旧买家回到我们平台这边啊，有一些什么计划能够跟我们分享一下吗？好，谢谢。
What is it?
A question also relating to the strategy for the Taobao Tmall group. I'm wondering if my understanding is correct, and if you could confirm this for me. In my understanding, we're going forward focusing more on a light asset strategy for TTG, and as a result of that light asset strategy, we can expect to see an increase in EBITDA. Is that correct? And then my second question is, I'd like to know what is the biggest difference that TTG has in terms of its platform model when compared against other platforms. What's the biggest advantage that we offer to merchants? What's the way that we create more value for merchants than the other platforms do? We know that the short-form video platforms have lots of organic traffic, and they're able successfully to convert
did have PDD as an investment too, that did well.
So how is TTG
the two Chinese stocks I had
traffic and pull back those existing customers?
Yeah, they haven't talked about the IPOs at all, have they? It didn't even mention it.
印象中你说的应该是两个问题吧。第一个
We're
问
going
题
to do cloud, that's been put off.
问的
Fresh
关于
Hippo
就是我想大概
and
你想
see
问
now
的
they
是背后我
didn't.
们
I
现
don't
在
think
的
have they mentioned it. They
我们
haven't
的收
mentioned
入
it.
构成里面，在淘天的收入构成里面，其实主要是有两部
That's
分构成
interesting.
的，一部分是我们的 CMR， 另外一部分的是我们的类直营产品。
Bad time in the market for
我觉得
IPOs
在
in
我们
Hong
的
Kong
商
is
业
where
定
they
位
do
当
it.
中，我
I
们
mean,
的我们的主要收入和利润其实主要来
they
自
just
于
they
我
get
们的
undervalued.
CMR
That's the
部分。
problem. That's why
未
they
来
pulled
在我
the
们
the
的
cloud
直营
because
的
this
产品
low
上面，
growth. They
那我
wouldn't
们
get
觉得
much
我
for
们
it.
在
I think they'll
直
hold
营类
off.
的这
I would
个
say.
产品和平台上面，我们的未来的主
But
要目
see
的
now
是
and
为了
is
保留
doing.
客
It's
户，
got strong
提
growth, so
升
they
客
could
户
do
的
that.
层
But would
次，
they get
以及
full
在某些
value
品
for
类
it? It's
上
better to do it
更要
in a
获取更
elevated,
大的
inflated market.
更大的竞争优势。所以从总体来看，我觉得我们的收入和利润，我们
Which
更
it
关注
is
CMR
not
部
at the
分，
moment.
就直营平台的收入，
So
我
I'm
们获取
really
用
not
户和利
surprised that
润
they're
公司的
holding
手
off.
段。那关于你说的，我们在面对不同的竞争对
There's
手，
6 segments, so
我
they
们淘天
can
平台的
do a
一些
number
比
of them.
较有特点的能力，我觉得首先对于商家而言，淘天平台是一个综合能力最综合能力
I
最强
sometimes
的一
wonder
个
if Jack
平
Ma
台，
will
也是我
come
们的
back.
综合能力，因为我们
If he was
在
allowed to, that would
在
that
淘
would
宝
probably
平
make
台
the share
上，我们
price
有像
rocket.
类似直播这样的能够快速起量的营销工具，同时我们也有对商家来说非常重
It's possible
非
that
常至
could
关重
happen.
要的日
The
常的
government let
日常的
him.
营销或者销售非常重要的货架电商平台的这样一个工具。
He said
用
it.
户的
They need
非
to
常
do
多的主
better.
流心智还是通过我们淘宝的
It's like
多
he
种
wants
平
to
台
come
去
back.
进行购物。那同时对于商家来说，还有另外一个重要的一个经营平台是它的私域工具。那
Shouldn't
商
be
家
too
的
much
私域工
longer
具，
with this.
我们在整个中国的电商市场上，对于品牌商家而言，淘天的提供的能力也是
Any
这个
update
其
on
中里
dividend?
面
I haven't
最
heard him
强的
say
能力。
anything about
所
that.
以作为一个商家而言，在一个整体的任何一个
Jack did buy
商家而言，
shares.
他在
Yes,
各个
Jack
阶段的产
bought
品
shares,
营
and
销，
so did Joe
包括
Tsai.
日常的销
So
售，
both of them
以
bought a
及包括
lot,
他
something
如
like
何去管理
$100
好他
million
的客户。
each.
我们觉
So
得在
that
淘
that
天
was
平台的服
definitely
务能
something
力是综
to,
合而且
you know, there's
最完整
the
的。
companies doing
那
buybacks.
如何去
They
获
can do a
取
huge
在
amount of
激烈的竞争
buybacks.
当中如
I
何
think they
去
should when the
保
share
留用
prices
户
are
或者说
low.
提升用户的层
I
次？
think didn't he say
我在
35
之前
billion
的
set
我
aside
的
for buybacks? They
讲
could
稿中
just
已
do
经
it
讲到，那我
really
们最
quickly
重
while
要的
it's
还
low.
是说
I mean, if it
如
does
何
go
针
up
对精准的识
50%,
别我
and
们
you know,
平台上的这么多的
they
用
should have
户
got it
分
cheaper.
层的
So
消费需求，为他们
I
提
mean,
供更好的
can't
商
see
品，
how it could go
以
down
及更好的价格和
any
更好的服
any
务。
more than
这
it
个
has.
是整个
But
电商
Jack,
零
yeah,
售当
Jack
中
has
针对消费者
Jack's
最
been
核
buying
心的
back, so
体
he
验。
obviously
我
he's
们相信
still
通过
still
提
around
供
and still
更好
wants
的商
to
品、更好的价
some
格和更好的服务，
input. If he
能
took
够
over again, that that is one catalyst that's kind of a wild card. If the government sort of, if it worked out, that would definitely lift it, I think.
Thank you. This is Eddie. I'll take that. And I think I heard a couple of different questions in there. If I understood correctly, the first question had to do with the revenue structure of the Taobao and Tmall group. Revenue comprises two parts, really, CMR, customer management revenue.
I think, in my opinion.
Direct sales offering. The way we look at the business, the bulk of our revenue and profits should be contributed by CMR. The purpose of having the direct sales offerings is firstly to retain customers, to help drive increased purchase frequency, and also to achieve an advantage, a competitive advantage in certain categories. But fundamentally, revenue and profits should be mostly contributed by CMR. Secondly, in terms of how Taobao Tmall Group is different from its competitors, I think from the merchant perspective, certainly TTG is the strongest platform with the most robust overall capabilities that it can offer merchants. We have live streaming and other marketing modalities on Taobao that can help to quickly drive.
We'll see in time whether that
for new product launches
should be the case.
Very important for merchants also are the day-to-day marketing operating tools that we offer. And in fact, a lot of purchases, of course, are made via the search function on Taobao. Of course, we also have robust private domain tools.
Could easily go up that much if it was positive sentiment.
So for merchants, all of these different tools and services make it possible for them to achieve very robust marketing and high efficiency operations. So Taobao Tmall Group has the most comprehensive and fullest set of capabilities in these respects. The other question as to how to retain customers and drive purchase frequency on the platform, as I said in my opening remarks, this is really about precisely targeting the needs of different tiers of customers and ensuring that we have good products at good prices that we
America
provide
has its problems too.
Coupled with good services.
Remember the global financial crisis?
The core experience
banks,
for customers.
Mini banking crisis, regional banks.
So that's how we're going to go about driving increased purchase frequency and growing GMV.
Thank you. Next question.
Thank you. Your next question comes from Jiayong Shao with Barclays. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much for taking my question. I have a question about shareholder return. It's great you increased the buyback by 25 billion.
There you go.
But in terms of the pace of the buyback, we understand there are constraints and the limitations such as capital control. Could you talk about sort of the cash you may already have outside of China?
This is a good question.
What needs to happen for you so you may be able to pick up the pace of the buyback? And related to that, any update on the potential IPOs of Freshippo and Cainiao? Thank you very much.
管理层接受我的提问。那么这次公司呢是增加了
interested to hear what they say about picking up the pace of the buybacks if they can.
亿美元，这个非常好。那么我的问题是关于这个
Look at so much
股份回购
cash.
一个速度和节奏，因为可能这个股份的回购过程中会面临一些制约因素。
I hear you, Dennis, about that. It's an argument.
或者是外汇管制。
You know that you don't own shares, the ADRs.
境外有多少的
Remember with the delisting that was going to be delisted, and that went away. That fear kind of went
第
away.
二个问题呢，想了解一下，就是河
That they
马
were going to be delisted from the US. Remember that maximum fear
IPO 的
was
最新的进展。
now nobody's talking about it.
Okay, thank you for your question. I will take the first one, and Joe will take the second one. For the share buyback and the preparation of the offshore cash, I think, For us, firstly, as you can see, we really have a sort of very strong balance sheet in terms of cash.
Yeah.
And a certain percentage of that cash actually is sitting offshore, which we can use to do the buyback. On the other hand, we also have a good channel that we can, dividend the cash out to offshore that we can further leverage either to make investments in our offshore, businesses, as well as using those sort of cash to do the buyback.
我先回答第一个问题，这是关于这个股份回购，还有我们境外的现金。那么实际上公司的资产负债表还是很强劲的，有非常充足的现金，而且其中相当比例的现金
on this
是在境外。
that you don't own shares stuff, the ADRs, I think it would be an international incident if they got delisted. There's a lot of ties between the US and China, with companies, Tesla's factories there, Apple. It would be a big deal. It's not. These are negotiated at the highest level.
Right. And secondly, actually, we are sort of like very under-leveraged. If you look at a balance sheet, actually the debtor is only, very small amount of debtor. And we can, two things, if we need it, we can increase the leverage, also to sort of get sufficient cash for us to do the share buyback. So as I said in my script, we're targeting to reduce, to have a net reduction of share count at least 3% every year in the next three fiscal years.
Buybacks. The question was, why don't they do more?
杠杆率很低，也就是说我们负债水平很低，所以如果需要，我们还可以通过提高财务杠杆率来获得更充足的现金，以进行股份的回购。那么如我在前面的发言中所讲的，我们的目标就是在接下来的3年当中，每年实现这个流通股数3%的这样一个减少。
Okay, I'll address the question about the IPO of Hema and Cainiao. So last year when we announced our reorganization, part of the goal was to make sure that we take steps.
On the ADRs, I'd be more worried about much smaller companies. That is why I do like small caps, American small caps, other small caps, but I wouldn't buy. I actually wouldn't buy small Chinese companies.
And we specifically
One
talked
thing.
about
That's why I own Alibaba and PGD. They're big.
And raising capital in business units.
There have been problems with small
Hema and Cainiao,
fraudulent companies.
So that we could put a valuation mark on these businesses. But the caveat when we made the announcement was that all these transactions were subject to market conditions. And market conditions currently are
terrible.
Just not in a state where
he wants to say terrible.
Can really truly reflect the value, in true intrinsic value of these businesses. So in the last few months, Eddie and his team has taken a very close look at our core business, and we've come to the conclusion that right now focusing on generating synergies within the companies in our group would be the best way to reflect the value of the entire Alibaba group. And, we're very excited about the potential for value creation through close collaboration among our businesses. In several areas, we have formed special project teams to ensure synergy creation, and we believe prioritizing synergies to strengthen our core business is the best value maximizing path today. Having said that,
they're definitely backtracking on the IPOs because of the market. They just wouldn't get the true value. They wouldn't get good value.
Conditions, as I said, we're not in a hurry on the timing of these transactions.
Look at the real estate companies.
我来回答一下第二个问题的是关于盒马菜鸟这个 IPO 的事情。那么去年我们宣布公司重组重组的一个目标就是 希望能够在
it's got to be the worst time to IPO in years, really.
现出每个业务部门它
You
真正
notice in the
的
US
内在
there
的
were a
一
lot
个
of
价值。
IPOs and SPACs
那
when
么
the
这
market
可
was
以呢有多种
exuberant.
方式来实现。
So
当
many
时我们
hundreds and
有看
hundreds
到
just to
有
get
些
that
业务可以
maximum
分拆上市
maximum
去融资，
value grab,
比如
really.
说盒马，比如说菜鸟，这样的话呢，就是可以有个明确的这样一个估值，但是当时的话呢，我们也是讲的非常明确，就这些交易是否推进，如何推进，都是取决于市场条件的。那么当前的市场条件呢，其实是没有办法现在通过这些做法来真正反映出这些业务它的真正的内在的价值。那么过去的几个月当中呢 ，Eddie 和他的团队
I'm not sure what you mean by that's a family builder or more hands-on. What are you
去
referring
看
to
我们
there?
所有的不同的业务。然后现在我们这个战略的聚焦点，就是说我们要来推动这个集团内不同业务之间的一个协同的效应。我们认为在当前的这个环境之下，这才是最好的一个方法，可以来就是。
Yeah, this Reddit IPO will be interesting. It could be another, could turn into a meme stock. Wall Street bets and so forth.
在寻求和推动不同业务之间更密切的合作，推动这种协同效应的实现。我们认为这是最好的可以使价值最大化的一个方法在当前。那么当然了，我们还可以也还会继续。 去考虑不同业务的单独的融资，但是我们不会操之过急。
Next question.
I agree. They should
Thank
do
you.
buybacks quicker.
Your next question
There's
comes from Kenneth Fong
obviously
with
they're just not
UBS.
going to, and
Please go ahead.
being very measured about it. But if the
Hi,
share price
good
takes
evening,
off,
management. Thanks for taking my question. I have a question on investment and return. We recorded on one hand, we will continue to invest in TTG overseas area for growth. But on the other hand, in our last earnings call, we also aim to improve the ROIC for the group from single digit to double digit over time. So I want to ask about, let's say, on the numerator front, what are the segments that we see room for improvement in terms of return, and then the pace that we should expect? And on the denominator side, being asset light, what are the progress and strategy for the disposal of non-core assets? Thank you.
管理层接受我的提问，我的问题是有关于
they did talk about the synergies of their businesses. I mean, they talked about that if they were going to do IPOs, because there's 6 segments, they would still work together, you know, but they can do that without IPOing. Just was under the same umbrella. It was going to be a holding company with these IPOs underneath it. So different structure, and they just want to realize the value, but they can't realize value when the market's bad. They just won't get the value at all.
逐步提升到2位数的这样一个水平。
那我想知道，在哪些
业务方面，你们认为可以提高这个资本的回报率，然后按照什么样的一个速度和节奏来实现然后跟这个相关的就是说在出售这个非核心资产这一方面最新的这个进展如何，还有什么计划？
Thank you, Kenneth. I'll take the first part of your question. As we said, I think as a listed company, I think it's important to improve the ROIC to the investors. So that's why during the last quarter's earnings call, we committed that we'll improve our ROIC from a single digit to double digit in the next couple of years.
Toby, 我先回答一下这个问题。
they do think long term. China does think long term. They have these 5-year plans for the country. Not year by year. Certainly not quarter by quarter. I mean, public companies are quarter by quarter, and that's a bad thing. You know, when Jeff Bezos was building Amazon, he was from his first investor letter. he was thinking really long term, and that's hard for the market to understand. Didn't really want to show profit, for a long time. Didn't really care about that. They did it sometimes just to show they could do it, but it wasn't about that. It was about long-term growth.
Eventually, will also help to improve our.
It's not a bad thing to think long-term, that's for sure.
但是呢，就是提高 ROIC 资本回报率和我们现在准备做的这些投资是并不矛盾的啊，两者并没有任何的冲突，因为我们今天做出这些投资，也就是为了带来未来的增长。那么有了未来的增长，自然就可以提高我们的资本回报率。
What we would be doing differently from previously is that we would be more focused on the core businesses as elaborated previously by Eddie. So we will focus on only the e-commerce, which is including the onshore and offshore, e-commerce business as well as cloud computing. So those are the areas, as I was emphasizing in my script, we will making investments.
Being a bit repetitive here.
我们跟过去这个最大的不同就是说
So this is an hour and a half we've been going now. It's long. I don't want to make this video too long because people who watch it back, if it's more than an hour and a half, it's hard to watch. But I will do a kind of summary video of the earnings in my usual videos, 10 to 15 minutes going through this. I mean, you could break it down the summary. It's really your buybacks. It's really the buybacks and the low growth of cloud and Taobao.
Exit from some of the non-core asset investments.
关于一些非核心资产，我们的退出，
in some real growth areas like logistics.
Yeah, I'll talk about the sale of non-core assets since this is a major focus of the Capital Management Committee, and I chair the Capital Management Committee. We're making very good progress on non-core asset sales. So during fiscal 24 to date, so we're 9 months into this fiscal year, we have exited 1.7 billion in non-core investments. All right, and so that's a pretty good pace. And we're very, very active in looking at our listed securities, and we form a special team to execute capital markets sale transactions to get out of these listed securities. Now, in addition, Toby has referred to this. We have a number of traditional physical retail businesses on our balance sheet, and these are not our core focus. It would make sense for us to exit these businesses, but this will take time given the challenging market conditions, but we'll continue to work on it.
好的，那么关于这个非核心资产的这个出售问题我来回答一下因为这是
Jack Ma buying, I think partly it's a show of support that he still believes in the company. He's willing to invest a lot. I mean, it's a substantial amount.
那么这一方面我们应该说进展非常的顺利。我们在24财年这个开始至今
people don't buy just for support. They don't invest that much. They, people sell for a lot of reasons and generally buy for one reason, that they think the price is going to go up. And sell for many reasons. You see CEOs and management selling, and they could have a kid going to an expensive college, buying a second or third house, whatever it is. But you buy, they generally buy for one reason. They think it's going up. They should be in the best position to know that.
那么刚才呢，这个Toby 也是提到了我们资产负债表上依然还是有一些那种传统的实体零售的这样的一些业务，那么这些也不是我们核心聚焦的几个业务。那么如果能够从这些完全退出的话呢，也是非常合理的这个做法。但是这个可能会需要时间，就考虑到当前的市场情况，可能会需要时间慢慢的来实现。
3.63 down. Okay.
Thank you. Your next question comes from Alex Yao with JP Morgan. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Management, for taking my question. I have a couple of questions on the value return to shareholder initiative. So first of all, you guys currently have a $35.3 billion available in the buyback program, which average roughly $12 billion per fiscal year, compared to the 2023 calendar year buyback pace. This is a sizable step up. Do you guys have the real serious intention to step up the buyback? Or put another way, how do you determine the $12 billion buyback per year is the right number to think about? And then holistically, if we add the buyback and dividend together and call it a yield to shareholders, so do you have a target yield for the next couple of years? Thank you.
好，谢谢管理层。我的问题是有关于公司就是返还价值给股东的这些工作。那么现在股份回购计划经过规模加大以后呢，现在可用于执行回购的这个额度是在353亿美元。那么如果是看到每个财年这样来考虑的话呢，一个财年就是120亿左右的美元。那么相比2023年日历年度的这样的这个购买规模而言，这还是这个变大了许多。那么我想问的是，你们真的是认真的吗？你们真的是有这个意图，要真的花这么多钱来执行股份回购吗？或者是换一个方式来问，这是一年120亿美元，我们怎么知道这是正确的这么一个数字？那么另外的话呢，如果把股份回购和这个派发股息，就是分红这两者加在一起，你们认为这几年可以给股东带来什么样的这个收益率？有没有一个目标的收益率？
Just in terms of capital allocation, it makes sense to buy them as low as possible.
The short version answer is yes, we're serious, of course. If you look back of our track record, we have been, in the past few years, we have,
we'll see.
Maybe done a few upsizes of the share buyback program.
For the market to digest what's going on.
Sort of like track record, we are actually, if you like, sort of like exceeded the original, timetable, if you like. So that's why the board approved another upsize this time. So that's why, as I said, we are serious.
回答这个问题，那么简单来说，这个答案是肯定的，我们肯定是非常认真严肃的。其实你可以看我们过去几年的这个过往的表现，呢，我们就是已经有数次加大了这个回购的这个规模而且是提前完成，所以这次董事会是批准了进一步的加大规模。
I mean, they trade in Hong Kong as well, so we've had trading.
In terms of how we decide this number, of course,
we really
take a few factors into consideration, including our cash generating capability and also, how much cash we will be able to sort of like generate to get it to offshore. So all these we consider, and of course, as I said previously, that the leveraging capability we have. So altogether, I think we consider a 12 billion is the right number, around the right number for us to do the buyback.
那我们是如何确定或者是如何决定按照这样一个数字规模来进行呢？当然我们是考虑了多个不同的因素，包括我们这个现金生成的能力，包括我们有多少现金能够是在境外，包括我刚才提到的，就是我们这个财务杠杆债的这个
economy recovers.
等等。那么
remember, if you look at the GFC, the global financial crisis,
大概就是
the economy was terrible when the market turned up. It was in March 2009 was the bottom of the market.
In addition to the buyback,
and the economy was terrible back still then.
The 25 billion, that's only for the buyback. As we announced in the last quarter, we start to pay an annual dividend. So if you like, for the fiscal year 23, including the buyback of 9.8 billion and the 2.5 billion dividend, actually we're giving back more than $12 billion back to the shareholders. And going forward, we are expecting a continued with our cash generating capability, continue to deliver, to give back the shareholders, the cash as we sort of like committed.
那么除了我们这个股份回购之外啊，这个就是250亿，这个仅仅是用于股份回购。那么除此之外，上季度我们也宣布将会有年度的分红。那么就23财年啊而言的话呢，这个股份回购是98亿啊，加上这个分红是25亿美元啊，加在一起就是有超过120亿。
Thanks to everybody that's still here. Got quite a lot of people still here after this long of this earnings call. So that's great. Thanks for hanging out with me.
这个能力我们完全期待
This is a long call. As far as calls goes, it's a long call. Partly because of the translation.
Yeah, I'd just like to supplement what Toby said. I'll do a little bit of math on this question. Toby has said in his prepared remarks that we are targeting a 3 percentage points per year of accretion per year over the next 3 years through our buyback program. And that commitment is pretty real because if you look at the past 12 months, we actually reduced our share count by 3.3%. So that accretion is, we believe is achievable. And if you look at our share count, we've about 2.5 billion shares outstanding, and 3% is 75 million shares. If we are deploying $12 billion a year to buy back our stock at the current stock price, we actually would be able to buy back even more. But of course, we're anticipating that our stock will increase in price over the last 3 years.
It's hope so.
Over the next 3 years, so that we can, we can still keep our target of 3% accretion per year. So using the $12 billion a year of buyback with rising stock price, I think it is still reasonable to get to 3% accretion a year. So that's math number one. Math number two is, 3% accretion a year plus a dividend of $1 per ADS. The dividend yield is about 1.4%, and if so, combined with the buyback accretion and dividend yield, you're looking at about 4.5%, which is actually quite close to the 10-year Treasury yield. So if you buy Alibaba stock, it's like you bought a 10-year Treasury bond with the upside of stock price appreciation.
Right.
So that's the math we're looking at.
Okay, that's a good, interesting point there. But with buybacks, it's like an interest rate. And they're basically retiring shares every year. So that should increase the share price, even if it's not shown in the market for a while. It helps the fundamentals if you're basically just taking shares away. A smaller pie. Greater value on a smaller pie.
3.3%的这样一个变化。那么我们现在这个发展在外，
the company, I don't know if you know NVR, the company NVR Home Builder has been doing that for over 20 years. They've just been buying back shares hand over fist for 2 decades, and it's just, if you look at the share price of that, what it's done,
当然按照当前的股价，我们可以这个
really does work if it's consistent and bought back at low
但
prices.
是我们肯定是会认为接下来的
They
这个
do
3 年
it
的
all
股
the
价
time,
肯定是
but
会上升的。那么如果是继续按照这个3%，这是每年120亿美元我们认为这个还是非常的合理，就是哪怕考虑到这个
4% down, we are 4% down
那
pre-market.
么你说的这个收益率的问题，我们可以这样来算，就是刚才讲的是股份回购可以带来
But having said that, I
3%的
mean,
这样一
today
个增值。那么再来就是每股ADS 派发一个美元这个本身的这个股息是股息收益率是1.4%，那么两者加在一起 的话呢，是可以大概达到4.4%或4.5%。
For the last 5 days, it's up 9.38%.
就10年期国债的这个收益率。所以大家如果买阿里巴巴的股票，你既可以呢享受到和美国10年国债相当的这样一个收益率，同时你还可以享受到未来这个股价上涨的这个空间。
Next question.
Thank you. Your next question comes from Gary Yu with Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Really allowing a lot of questions.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to ask questions. I have a question for Jiang Dan on international business. Just wanted to see if there is any kind of particular markets that we are focusing on. And specifically, I want to ask about our strategy in the U.S. regarding cross-border e-commerce business, given the geopolitical risk ahead of elections. And we also talk about potentially stepping up the investment on international business. How should we look at the level of segment loss in the couple of quarters, and how are we going to fund the investment? Is it more individual financing at the AIDC level, or are we going to tap into more of the kind of offshore financing capability at the group level? Thank you.
Hey, Gary, your background is quite noisy. Can you repeat a few questions?
Hi, can you hear me better?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, apology for that. I'm in the middle of a Chinese New Year dinner. So my question regarding international business, and first one is any particular focus in terms of markets for the next couple of quarters, and specifically what is our strategy in the U.S. market given the geopolitical risks ahead of elections. And the second question also on international is we talk about stepping up the investment. How should we look at the segment loss in the coming quarters, and how are we going to fund the investment between individual financing at the AIDC level versus tapping into the group offshore financing at the group level? Thank you.
Offshore financing. Business have been pulling out of China.
那么第一就想知道接下来几个季度我们主要发展的重点会是在哪些区域的市场，然后包括你们在美国的这个战略如何考虑到现在是决策曲线，有些地方重视的紧张。那么第二个问题就是关于你们未来的这个投资，多少会是 AIDC 本身去融资的，然后多少会是从集团层面这样来提供资金。
好的，我先回答一下第一个问题。首先我想讲一下，就是我们也分这个跨境业务跟本地业务。那么我们的本地业务其实在过去的几个季度包括未来的几个季度，我们的效率也是在非常快速的。
Thanks everybody for sticking around. Appreciate the company for this earnings call and for the chat. Good questions, good discussion. Thanks for that. Good to think about.
对，然后相对也是个通用的一个模式。所以我们在决定投入哪些市场的时候，更多的也是动态的会去看这个不同市场投入的一个 ROI。对，那这个 ROI 也会随着我们的用户体验的变化而带来我们的留存率的变化。然后我们的方式是我们会会有一个周期性的会去根据我们的这个投资效率的表现，然后来去评估我们在不同市场的一个投入。对，那么回到美国的这个问题，我们本身在美国也有一定的业务基础，那么无论是我们的投资业务，也包括我们的独立的业务，对我们的这个阿里巴巴国际站其实也有大部分的客户来自于美国。那美国长期也是我们非常重视的一个市场。对，那我们还是会去根据我们的就是美国的这样的一个能够提供的一个价值和一个服务，然后包括一些创新的方式来评估我们是否要在美国这个市场加大投入。对，当然就是您刚讲到的这个
saying about the ties between these two nations. It's so complex. They've got to keep on a good.
So this is Jiang Fan, and I'll take the first part of your question, and we can break this out and look at the business in terms of cross-border versus local. So in terms of the local business, over the past several quarters, we've seen very rapid improvement in efficiency and rapid narrowing of losses, and we expect that to continue. The cross-border business, of course, addresses all markets everywhere. It's a generic business model. And so in determining how we will allocate investments going forward, basically we look at return on investment, we look at the efficiency of the investments we've made to plan our future investments. In terms of the U.S., we actually do have a business foundation there in 2C and 2B on Alibaba.com. In fact, lots of customers.
It's in the earnings deck there.
US
If you go
so we certainly attach
to the website, it's in him. They say in the highlights there how much they brought back. I can't remember
whether
at the moment.
we will be increasing our investment in the U.S. on the basis I described, looking at the
billion
value
in the last quarter,
that we can bring,
like that.
the innovation that we can bring, and of course, in
It's
that process, we
targeting
will
12
also
billion
take
a
into
year.
consider the various risks that you've outlined.
I will take on the second
sense.
question. Basically, you're asking how we are going to arrange the financing for AIDC, to get sufficient fundings for its investments. So generally, as actually Joe was explaining previously, AIDC is going to do financing. However, we are not rushed to do a financing. So really, depending on the market conditions, we will find the right moment to do a financing.
Thanks.
So
I'm
before that,
definitely not a trader. I'm long
coming,
term.
Actually, what we will be doing is, as I said, we have sufficient, offshore cash. We can use those cash to finance the business, finance the sort of growth of our businesses offshore.
Offshore cash.
好，我是Toby， 我来回答第二个问题，这是关于我们如何安排
about being a trader versus an investor. I mean, honestly, long-term
那么其
investing
实刚才 Joe 也讲了，就是 AIDC 到
3
一
to
定
5
时间
years. Like I
一
just
定
I
会
wait
去
for
寻
it
求
for a thesis
外
to
部
play
融
out,
资，但
and
是
there's
呢，我们
something
并不
drastic
急，
happens through 3 years
就
minimum,
是
up
要
to
看
5
市场
years.
条件
So
找一
I'm
个正
being
确的时
patient
间
about Barbara, even though it's
来这
performed
个
badly, and
进
other
行这样的
investments
投
I
资
have performed really
那么
well.
在那
So,
之前我
but I'm
们
willing
有
to give it
充足
time,
的
especially
境外的
because
现金
it's
可
like
以
Ray
为
Dalio said, you've
AIDC
got
需要做的这些投资
having
来
some
提供
investments in the US and in the second biggest economy in the world as well is, I think, not a bad plan. You
Thank
never know
you.
what's going to happen
Your
in
next
the US.
question comes from Thomas Chong
Think
with
back to the global
Jefferies.
financial crisis.
Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Thanks, management, for taking my questions. I have a question on the cloud side. Given Eddie is now leading a TTG and cloud, what should we expect in terms of the synergies in coming quarters? And should we expect AI to be a driver to CMR? And on that front, given we have a very good margin profile in the December quarter, any color about the long-term margin assumption that we should expect? Thank you.
Margins.
好的，我这个问题是关于云的。现在就是 Eddie 是直接在管理淘天集团以及这个阿里云这两个业务。那么会不会就是短期内能够看到这两个集团之间有更多的协同效应？然后会不会利用 AI 来带动 CMR 的增长？
It's good to look from,
另外就是
well,
12
as
月
long as
季
it's
度
not a
我们
value
看
trap,
到
but that's,
这个有很不错的这个表现。
I mean, you think of
那么想知
Meta
道这个
stock,
长
let's
期
just have
来
into
讲
Meta
这
stock
个利润
when
会
that
怎么
was
样？
down in the depths. A lot of those US tech stocks went down more than 50%, Tesla more than 70%. They have rebounded quickly. But it's sort of par for the course that stocks can go down this much. It's just that this is a long bear market for
在阿里
Barbara and
云以
Chinese
及
stocks.
在
So
淘
far.
天的协同上面，确实有一些看到一些非常大的一个潜力，尤其是在 AI 方面。那阿里云致力于在开发一个我们的通义千问的大模型，然后在这个基础上，我们已经看到了非常多的在我们的搜索和广告这些业务上我们做了一些研究和测试，发现这里面还是有非常大的可提升空间。无论是对于我们搜索的 成交转化率以及广告的匹配和那个变现效应。但是这些我们都还是在一个产品研究测试的一个早期阶段。我们相信这一部分的对于 AI 的深入的研究和投入，我们相信会对草间未来的搜索广告产品会产生一个非常积极的帮助。但是我们现在还只是处于产品的研发的这个早期阶段。
Thank you, and that's a really great question. Certainly, I see very strong potential for greater synergy between Alibaba Cloud and the Taobao Tmall Group, especially driven by AI. As you know, we've been developing our own large language model called 通义千问, and we're currently testing ways to leverage this model, to leverage the AI capabilities to enhance search and to enhance advertising as well. This initiative is still in the early testing phase, but we see very strong potential to leverage AI to significantly enhance search conversion and ad monetization. So as I say, that's still in early testing, but we see excellent potential there.
The answer to this is because of the fundamentals of the company and that the stock is low.
Thank you. Your next question comes from Ellie Jiang with Macquarie.
At some point.
Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, management, for taking my question.
Investment
I
advice,
just have
that's
a
just
follow-up
would be
question
the
on
answer to
the
that question.
AIDC international unit. The management earlier shared some exciting developments in the overseas market, but it seems like this quarter, the international unit basically saw a very big widened loss, around 3 billion RMB. So just wondering, how do we anticipate the investment pace onwards, considering certain of the key kind of growing markets such as AliExpress Choice, the hybrid model, as well as the Trendyol seems to be still in the very early development stage. So, going forward, how do we really evaluate the economics as well as the competitive landscape? Thank you.
对，我想后续就 AIDC 来提问因为管理层是介绍了很多新的这个投资，就 AIDC 这边但是我们看到的话呢 ，AIDC 的这个亏损还是扩大至30亿人民币。所以想要知道你们未来投资的一个速度节奏大概会是怎样的？我们知道这个 AliExpress Choice 这个新的混合模式包括这个 Trendyol 都是一个早期的一个发展阶段，可以谈一下未来这些投资的一个节奏。
对，我想说就是说我们这个季度的亏损是有3个方面造成。第一就是说我们的这个 AliExpress Choice 的这个模式在我们整个跨境的这个比例大幅度提升，因为这个模式呢还处在一个早期阶段，而且这个模式有非常明显的规模效应，所以我们现在是会通过投资把规模做大，然后再追求一个长期的一个优异的一个收敛。对。然后第二个原因就是也是因为大促期我们的营销上面会相对其他季度会花的多一些。然后第三就是我们在新的市场，包括 Trendyol 在中东等一些市场，会早期进行一些投入。对。然后未来的一段时间，我认为也是会在一个比较大规模的一个投入期。首先我们看到这个 Choice Model 的用户体验跟用户留存对比这个之前的模式都有较明显的上升。那么我们也相信在一个更长的周期内我们的投入是可以有一个比较好的一个回收的。对，所以我们接下来还是会在这个 会把这个增长规模作为最大的。
EPS, whether it's a beat or a miss or whatever, but it's kind of meaningless by itself.
Thank you. Well, the loss in AIDC's business this quarter really came from 3 different areas. The first is that the new model, the AliExpress Choice model, has grown very rapidly and now accounts for a very significant percentage of the business overall. At the same time, it's an early stage business still being developed. It's a business that has very strong scale effects, so our priority is to invest in scaling up the business. And when the business has achieved scale, then as it grows, the loss will narrow and the business will become profitable. The second thing that contributed to the losses this quarter was significant spending on marketing and some major promotions that we did. And thirdly, some investments that we made in the Middle East and other key markets. Going forward, I think that we'll continue to be making large investments in this business, in particular around choice. We see very clearly that choice is delivering
Good that they're talking about investment, large investments.
Much better user retention than the previous model. So over a longer period of time, we're certain that choice will produce very positive investment
Good
returns.
time to buy more. Well, that
right
is
now,
a question that
the number one priority is to continue.
I can't answer, and nobody can answer. That's one you have to decide for yourself.
Next question, final question.
Of investment advice.
Thank you.
We'll look back
Your
in 5
next
years
question
and we'll know
comes
the
from
answer to that.
Jialong Shi with Nomura. Please go ahead.
Hopefully we'll know by then.
Thanks management for taking my question. 谢谢管理层接受我的提问。我的问题的话，我有2个很快的问题。第一个问题就是想请教一下管理层，就是在前不久有一些媒体报道是说爸爸有可能会考虑出售这个饿了么，能不能请管理层评论一下这个 media report。然后第二个问题也是关于这个 AIDC 的，就是想问一下，在东南亚这边，我们这个巴巴的这个海外AIDC 在这个印尼市场占我们的这个东南亚 Lazada 的这个比重有多大？然后的话就是跟这个问题相关的就是在那个 TikTok 和这个 Tokopedia 的这个合作，以及印尼政府对于这个跨境电商的这个限制，对于这个 Lazada 的这个影响是怎么样的？我们是如何来应对这个挑战？谢谢。
Do the other opposite as well. Could be other news that comes out during the day. Or people could decide the buybacks are a good thing.
Thank you. So a couple of quick questions for management, if I may. First of all, I'm wondering if you could respond to a recent media report saying that
I can't do
the Alibaba Group would be considering selling Ele.me. If you could respond to that, please. Second
it's 3 o'clock in the morning here,
to do with
Ian.
AIDC. Can you tell us how big Lazada's
I am a
business
night
is in
owl,
Southeast
but
Asia?
It's 2 nights in a row I've been up this late.
The impact that you've seen in Indonesia from the team up between TikTok
Which is fine, but I got up at 7 a.m. as well.
好，我来回答一下第一个问题啊，因为这个之前因为其实我们已经对这个市场的这样一个谣言进行过了一个辟谣，所以回来我想这个我在这里不需要多讲。那同时的话，我也想讲一下，其实那个从饿了么的角度来讲，还是一个很对于我们来讲是一个进场很重要的这样一个所以这个上次我们在我们的 PR 里面已经强调过，所以我想我不需要再多去强调这个。
Thanks. This is
was on an internal forum we
Toby,
talked
first
about.
question. I don't think there's any need for us to make further
Getting
comment because we've already addressed that rumor and have stated that that's not true. As far as Alibaba is concerned, Ele.me is a very important asset for us in the hyperlocal segment.
关于Lazada，首先我想说，东南亚依然是我们一个非常重要的一个市场。 对，然后整个东南亚的这个渗透率依然还有很大的一个空间，对，然后我们在未来还是会保持一个效率跟这个规模增长间的一个平衡，那我们也在非常快速的去收敛我们的这样的一个亏损，对，那么同时也保持一个增长，对，所以就是说我们在东南亚还是会坚持的这样的一个可控的规模上的一个投入，对。然后关于印尼的这个 跨境的这些限制，我们其实一直是比较遵守当地的监管的一个规则的，所以对我们的影响相对有限。
They are quite accommodating with questions. Some companies just cut people off after
Well, Southeast Asia
15 minutes.
continues to be a very important market for us, and there remains significant potential for us to deepen our penetration in Southeast Asia. Our approach is to continue to balance efficiency against growth, to continue to work to narrow the losses in the business while maintaining growth. So going forward, our strategy will be to continue to make investments at an appropriate scale to grow in Southeast Asia. As far as the restrictions imposed by the Indonesian authorities, the impact on us is relatively limited because we always abide by regulatory requirements.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's earnings call. That concludes our earnings today. Please reach out to us if you have any questions.
That was epic.
And we'll see you next quarter. Thank you.
Okay.
That does conclude our conference for today. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect.
Thank you. Okay, so that's it. So summary there. We talked a lot about the the buybacks. It's really the main thing. Growth's not great in some areas. It's good in others. That's the story, really. Just keeping on. But the buybacks, people and analysts sort of pushing for greater buybacks. I kind of agree. I do agree if they could do buybacks while the stock's this low, because it could jump 50% or more. It happens. We've seen it happen. What if the government does this huge stimulus that sort of spiked the market, and then they would be buying back at much higher prices? So it makes sense to buy back now. It could go down more, of course, but how low can it go? Those are my thoughts anyway. But yeah, the growth of cloud and Taobao and Tmall, they talked about efficiency and investing. Obviously, the international's going well. They're investing in Europe and other parts of the world. So it's not bad. The fundamentals are good. They've got so much cash, just giving it back to shareholders. I think buybacks are the best way to do that rather than a dividend. I don't want a dividend. I don't want dividends. You have to pay tax on it. And rather they invest it in themselves while the prices are low and increase the value. It was a mega cap. This was a massive mega cap company, and so it's just a fraction of the market cap it was. So if you compare them to US companies that are the same operations, I mean, they're in the look at this $1 trillion company. So, but of course there are reasons for that, arguments for that. But anyway, this has been interesting. Thanks for hanging out with me here and going through this. I really appreciate it, and it's great to see lots of people here. I've just started this live streaming, so I enjoyed it, and thanks for all the comments, everybody. That was great, good discussion. And I'll probably make a summary video about this, a shorter one for the channel, just a normal video in the coming days. But anyway, I'm going to cut us off now. Thanks everybody. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out. Hopefully see you again. See you in the next one. I'll enjoy doing this, so hopefully see you again. Good night from my point of view, or let's see what happens in the market. See if it actually makes a comeback during the day. See ya.